everyone! Hi! I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today I wanted to do some live spinning of this roving that I dyed while breaking Wilton's black food coloring. So this roving is a bit of a sneak peek because the dyeing of this roving will take place in a future Dyepot Weekly episode. But I wanted to finish that episode with some of the yarn, show like a little bit of the yarn that I dyed with the roving. So I figured I'd pop on and show you guys what I was going to spin today. I used a lot of food coloring to dye this roving. I think I used a half teaspoon of Wilton's black. And even though we have some really deep colors, there isn't a true black. We have some blue grays and really deep burgundies that really are more red than brown. And so, yeah, those are the colors that we have in here. But because I did some low immersion dyeing, the dye didn't spread very far, which means that I actually had to keep the fiber in the pot a long time to get it to absorb. And so I wouldn't call the fiber felted because I think it is still perfectly spinnable, but it is the closest, so it's like at the ends, like a little stickier, but you see I can still pull it apart and I'll have no trouble drafting it. But this is the closest I've gotten, I guess, to a felted mess. So we'll see how it spins up. Now the wheel that I'm using today and every day, this is Sandry, my Kromsky Fantasia wheel. I love it. And I'll unwind this roving so you can see a little more of what we're working with. But it's very pretty. I space dyed it. And I decided today to use a really fast whirl. So lately, this is the whirl that comes with the Kromsky Fantasia. I forget if the ratios are maybe 1:5 and 1:8. And I think this is like 1:10 and 1:12, the medium one. And so I've been using this one. And the small whirl that I've got here is, the ratios are 1:18 and 1:20. And yes, Sandry is from the Circle of Magic books. I'm really glad that someone got the reference of how I named my wheel. I think that there's magic in spinning. Haha. Okay. I should be wearing a Maleficent shirt today, and then I could be making multiple spinning references as I do this. But I'm gonna just pull off like a little piece, and so the goal would be to get some thinner yarn than I've been doing lately. I've been doing a lot of about worsted weight. So I haven't tried going for a really thin yarn in a while. And yeah, let's see. Whoa, what am I? Ha! Okay. There we go. Oh, wheel, you do not sound very happy. So remember when my brake band broke a little while ago? Well, I got a new one and I snapped it. So apparently I think I might just use like too much tension or something, but I don't know. Hopefully I don't. Whoa. So the tension on the whirl, there's a lot less tension. I don't know if you can see the drive band kind of wobbling. So that is pretty new to me. But eek, I haven't gone super thin in a while. But clearly, if this roving had been felted, I wouldn't be able to do this. And it would be breaking. Your friend used to call you a hedge witch. Aww. Yeah, I love those books and stuff. But wow, I can treadle. Okay, so the first thing I'll notice about this really fast whirl is I can treadle really slow and the wheel is spinning super fast. I think that the reason why my brake bands were breaking is because it would just, maybe I was treadling too fast or there's too much tension, but I think it was getting really hot. Oh, cool. This is a lot thinner than I've done in a while. Yay! It's working. Hi. I don't understand the rest of that, but super looks good. Yeah, so if I truly got a felted mess, then I would not be able to pull out just, you know, a few strands of the fiber at a time. And so I might have more troubles around the end of the fiber, but we'll see if I'm able to still draft it. Some people can do a really long draft. And I'm doing an extremely short draft right now because I'm afraid, I guess, of just splitting the fiber. And I want to pull some more out before I run out. Let's grab some from here so we can bring some black in. I haven't decided how I'm going to apply this. I think maybe I'll end ply it since I'm starting off without much of a plan. It's really fun. Spinning is so much fun. I highly recommend trying it out at like a fiber festival or something. Or if you have a shop that has wheels or a local guild or something that will let you try, that's a good way to start out. I really, really wanted a wheel for a long time. And then we went to a fiber festival in, I guess, northwestern Illinois. And I tried out this same wheel model and I just fell in love because it was so much easier than the drop spindle. But you can get a nice drop spindle for about $20. So if you really want to try it out but aren't sure how you'd like it, you can, the commitment for spinning is pretty low. It's just, I think a wheel is a lot easier to use than the drop spindle. And it's faster. Because with the drop spindle, every yard or every few feet, you have to, oh, that almost, well, did not break. Every few feet you have to, it did break. Aw, my first break in a really long time. But yeah, I'm a pretty self-taught novice spinner, so if you see anything I'm doing really, really wrong, I welcome suggestions and tips. But I like to spin because I find it extremely soothing and relaxing, and I like playing with the different colors that you can achieve with hand spinning your yarn. So, but I look in awe at the people who can just do like perfect lace weight singles because they just have so much skill. But I'll say that when I'm spinning this thin, I get a really decent sense of the staple length of the fiber because I can really feel where I'm drafting from further down. Oh yeah, I guess the drop spindle was certainly useful, and it also helped me understand how strong the fibers are because I spun some really, really thin yarn on the drop spindle. But I don't think I have touched the drop spindle since I got my wheel. So there's that. Your professors could tell whether you had spun in the morning. Wow, it is really soothing and relaxing. All right, I think I'm enjoying being able to like treadle this slowly. I can't believe it took me so long to use this whirl. So if you aren't a spinner, the whirls affect the ratio of, so this wheel spinning around turns the mechanisms up here. And so with a faster whirl, that means for each revolution of this wheel, I'm spinning 20 times. And so for a thinner yarn, you need more twists per inch. And so you can certainly spin a thin yarn with a slower whirl. You'll just have to draft way slower and treadle faster. Oh, good. I'm glad that this yarn is this roving is spinning up well. I do not think I could spin while walking, even with a drop spindle. I mean, I would stand up to do it because then you have like more reach, but I think it's all, I'm still learning how to talk and spin at the same time, so I think walking would be pretty hard. Yeah, I really want, I think it's the Turkish drop spindle that like has the, I guess the X at the bottom, so then you can wind your center pull ball as you're spinning, because then it would be easier to wind onto a niddy noddy after. I always had some weird setup to like unwind, where I'd have my drop spindle balanced in like a Tupperware container to try to unwind it. And I was so paranoid about breaking the yarn. Yeah, I've seen people, I saw someone make some drop spindles out of even fidget spinners and using some fidget spinners to spin yarn. That was a pretty cool video. I mean, it wasn't the most effective way, but... Wow, hey, more power to you if you can get yourself exercise while spinning. I wouldn't mind a spinning wheel that was like a stationary bicycle or something. That would be pretty handy. Yeah, but so unlike some of the other yarns I spun live, you can see that obviously the thinner yarn you spin, the slower it goes, but you can really get a sense of, whoa, no, bad wheel. Get a sense of that here. And you could do a really nice, I think, gradient with this yarn. And sometimes I like to divide fiber up just by the colors, even with the colors intermixed like this, to do a fun gradient. Yeah, I find that I usually do need to reskein the yarn that I spin, because I usually put in a bit too much twist. And if I don't, then it'll, crinkle up and twist in on itself. So I find that I definitely need to like wet it to help relax the fibers. But I think that, the more I spin, the more consistent I'm finding my yarns to be. So, well, it's like anything, right? You got to be a better knitter with practice. Oh, I did not consider that I had coordinated my clothes. I just threw on a sweatshirt because I was doing some dyeing earlier, and so I had on an old tank top. And I wanted to look pretty for you guys. It's also, even though it's warm outside, it's been getting really cold at night, and it's still pretty warm during the day. So we I don't always turn the heat on at night yet, and the house gets pretty chilly, but I prefer that. Have I done any fractal spinning? What is fractal spinning? So I would say I don't think so. Because I'm not quite sure what it is. I have no idea if this is if this would be fractal spinning though. I did a really cool yarn once where I spun, let's see, S singles, then I made a Z 2-ply, and then I made an S, like I spun the 2-ply yarn together, and it made this really cool looking yarn. But I have a really awesome book that talks about all these different, like, really amazing techniques that you can do with spinning yarn. And I haven't even broken the surface. Like, I mostly end up with 2-ply or N-ply yarn. That's cabled yarn that I did. Yeah. I really need to pull out the book again and see there is. I actually want to try dyeing some silk thread and applying that with some singles and playing around with that, but we'll see how that goes. Fractal spinning is about mathematically dividing the colorways to have intentional color repeats when they are applied together. Ooh, that sounds really cool. I'm not that confident in my ability to plan my spinning that closely, but I think I'll look into that because then you could, the color changes are usually pretty random because I'm not paying that close attention to going all the way down this. I'm just kind of randomly pulling the fiber. But I will definitely need to look into fractal spinning because that sounds really fun and cool. Ooh, a fun yarn I did once, so it was a very, very brightly colored roving, and I divided it into, I kind of divided it into pencil roving, but then I put pieces together. So I got these twists, but it was just out of the, I made this bulky single ply yarn twisting the colors together, even though it was still single ply. And so that was really, really fun. I kind of miss my Into the World fiber subscription. The colors that they create over there are absolutely stunning. I was on the waiting list a year before I got on, and then when we moved back to Massachusetts, I had to cancel it because we were going to be staying with family for a while, and and then I was pregnant again, and so I knew I would have less time for spinning, but the 4-year-old knows not to touch mommy's wheel. Now we just have to teach the 1-year-old, and then I will be able to do a lot more spinning. Oh, this is really pretty. Many do fractal once and never again. But it's an experience worth having. It sounds like it. I think that many different knitting and techniques are like that. Depends on what you have the patience for. I wind my own worsted blanks using a kids hand crank knitting machine. So not, and it takes about 20 minutes or so to do one. So I have a feeling that that's also something that some people will do once and then never again. I considered at one point offering one of those gradients, those worsted gradients I dye with those blanks as a reward for the Dyepot Weekly Kickstarter, but I realized that my arm would fall off if I was trying to create that many homemade worsted blanks, and so that's why I decided to do the sock blanks special instead and just purchase sock blanks, some commercial sock blanks to use for dyeing. But there's still, I think, 5.5 hours of the Dyepot Weekly Kickstarter campaign. So if you haven't yet had a chance to snag one of the really cool rewards I'm offering, you're almost out of time. And the link is in the description of this video and also at the very, very top of the comments. People tend to learn a lot about the color and the process and about intentional spinning rather than whimsical go with the flow spinning. Yes, right now I'm definitely in a whimsical go with the flow, but I would love to become more intentional. I mean, as I said, I've done some gradients, but again, I don't think that my color changes were even or anything like that. So, yeah, I also want to do, in terms of dyeing, a true self-striping yarn versus a gradient from a blank. And so, yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of math, but I don't knit socks very much, so it'd be hard for me to try to plan out my own socks in a particular way because I'm more of a mittens and girl than socks. Oh, you got your wheel from a yarn shop going out of business? That does sound lucky. I know some people get them from estate sales and stuff sometimes, but you need to be careful because if family members are selling someone's old wheel, it could be missing pieces or something could be broken. But I feel like I reached out to Kromsky with a question once, and they were really responsive, and so that was nice. But I love I think aesthetically, I would love like a more traditional looking spinning wheel, but the small footprint of this wheel just can't be beat. It's so easy for me to just toss it in a closet when I need to hide it from the kids. And I think that it would be really easy to, if you were gonna travel with it. I know that you can get like a travel bag for it, so it'd be really easy to fit in a car or something. Yeah. Have I ever dyed my spinning? I'm not sure. I've dyed hand spun yarns before. There was someone else did a Kickstarter for single breed yarns, and she sent me a bunch of just mini like butterfly swatches of the yarns, and I dyed a bunch of them to just see how different wool breeds took up color. And it's possible that I had a swatch in there that I had dyed spun myself, but otherwise, no. I haven't ever spun a bear yarn or even like a non-bear yarn and then dyed it. I would like to at some point, and that's something I'd like to play around with a bit. But I think at this point, I've spent more of my time dyeing the fiber that I was gonna spin. And I think mainly because there's more, at some stage, dyeing hand-spun yarns, is pretty similar to dyeing commercially spun yarns. Even though I find the yarns that I spin are denser, because I get, for the same like yarn weight, I get not as much yardage as similar commercial yarns. Oh yeah, I think Into the World is at that festival. Hey, I think Knit Picks is where my sandry came from. I am, I recently became a Knit Picks affiliate, which is handy because I have been promoting their products for a long time. Because, you know, I think I found them, I was making Sheldon the turtle, which was a toy, and they used a yarn that they had. Are my fingers colored right now? I think my fingers are pretty normal. They might, the lighting or something might be a little off. So, yeah, I try to wash as much of the dye out of the fiber as I can, but with food coloring and actually other acid dyes, you can see some bleeding, particularly in hot waters. But I try every once in a while. I'll spin something that might leave a little bit of residue on my fingers, but usually I'm okay. Oh, if you were curious if the fibers bled as I spun. Occasionally, sometimes with something with a lot of red number 3 in it that has crashed out, some of those particles might still be on the fiber and then kind of rub off and stain my fingers. But that hasn't happened in a while. I think I've gotten better at both preventing the crashing and at rinsing the fibers. I got all paranoid for a moment. I dyed yarn with Jell-O today for a Dyepot Weekly episode, and I was wearing gloves because I was like, I do not feel like having blue and red hands today. But I know you guys have been asking for me to dye with Jell-O for a long time, and I was really nervous. I really thought that I would end up with like an office style prank with yarn in like a Jell-O tub, but I think it actually turned out pretty well. I still have to wait for the yarn to dry to see if it's sticky at all. But, I mean, I don't think I got any gelatin solidifying, so I'm excited. I don't think I've seen Into the World in person, but I really liked their subscription service because they used so many different fiber bases. And when I was learning how to spin, I wanted to try out a bunch of different yarns to see what I liked the best. And so that's a main reason why I tried them. And I discovered that, because I found I was struggling sometime, and I think that using silk blends when you're starting spinning, I think is really handy, because the silk just is really good at sticking to itself, and the fibers are really long, so it's I found that really, really easy to do when I was just starting out. I haven't been to the New England Fiber Festival in Massachusetts. There was a sheep shearing festival in Newton that I did. I didn't go this year, but I went last year, and they had some stalls set up and stuff. And so that was really fun. But I think that there was something that we weren't able to go to, but I miss going. When I lived in just outside of Chicago, I really loved going to Vogue Knitting Live. I took some really, really awesome classes while I was there, and so that was always really, really fun. But yeah, I need to start looking into some other local festivals, because I know Vogue Knitting doesn't come to Massachusetts because they go to New York, and well, New York is expensive, so that's why I haven't gone yet. I was able to day commute in to the Vogue Knitting conferences, but I can't believe that the Dyepot Weekly campaign will end tonight. 30 days is a really long time. It It's been a lot of fun. I am so, oh, very bad connection. All right, well, if I disconnect, I'll come back. I'm very, very grateful for all of the support that you guys have shown me. I love seeing the pictures that you send me of the yarn that you've dyed and the comments and the questions. It just is inspiring and helps me keep creating fun content. And I hope to keep creating fun yarn dyeing videos for a really long time. And thanks to the overwhelming support of my Kickstarter campaign, I know that we're going to have 35 amazing dyeing videos come out with at least one every week. I think that some in this winter to help get more people their rewards. There might be 2 a week sometimes. But I am so excited to start showing you the first episode, which comes out tonight in just over 5 hours. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, I bought some RIT dye, and it was really hard for me to not start using it yet, but I wanted to save it for my first attempt for one of the sponsored videos. And so, but I need to see what bases people choose before I start filming those. Yeah, and as the kids get older, it'll be easier for me to do fiber festivals where like I can go and stay, and like sleep over and stuff. But right now, it is still complex. Although I'm so happy the youngest started school, which is allowing me to really ramp up my video production. So this morning I asked, we were talking about yarn at the breakfast table, and Lucas goes, "Yarn, I like to dye yarn." And I was like, "Oh, do you want to dye yarn?" And the 1-year-old Ryder goes, "Yeah." And so Lucas turns to him and goes, "Ryder, you are too little. You can do it when you're older." And so that really amused me. I do think, well, I have plans to try to help the 1-year-old get on the channel. I think he's very artistic, so I think he would enjoy trying to hand paint yarn. I just need to try to figure out a way that would not result in me getting hand painted too. Yeah. In the past, my husband would take me to the festival and hang out with the kid while I shopped and chatted with different vendors and tried out new techniques and stuff. So, yeah, he enjoys it because he likes seeing me kind of in my element. Keith doesn't know how to knit, but he did knit some squares for a charity knit-a-thon once. But that was years ago, so I don't think he remembers how to do it. I cast on for him and taught him how to knit, and he made a 12-inch garter stitch square. I was very, very proud of him. He's like the things you do for your partner, right? Where was I pulling from? I don't know. I'll just pull this nice piece. Ooh. Now I'm getting jealous of all these fiber festivals. I didn't even go, because there was a yarn crawl recently in the Boston area, and I didn't go. Actually, I'd also like to go west and see the Webb's warehouse. I think that would be a fun day trip. Maybe combine it with like some of the museums out there, so that way the whole family can go. Although my yarn stash is a little out of control right now. I don't really need to go and buy more yarn. I have a queue of projects that I have the fiber for that I just need to sit down and knit. including stuff I got at some of the last fiber festivals I went to. So I just need to get it done. So right now I'm spinning the singles, and I think I'll probably end ply or chain ply this. Or maybe I'll wind it into a center pull ball and then create a 2-ply. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I just knew that I wanted to spin thinner singles than I had been recently and test out my super, super, super fast whirl, which is so tiny that I almost think that the drive band will fall off the wheel. Oh, no, and don't apologize for asking a question that might have been asked already. I know people pop on and off. Whoa, they were spinning kiln meetings at Webb's? That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I was really tempted by some of their like mystery bags of yarn, and I was like, the stash, I have a stash problem. And I mean, all of you Kickstarter backers are helping with that stash problem, but I'm just destashing. I mean, I think almost all of my hand-dyed yarn is going to be shipped out by the end of the year, which I'm very excited for, but it's also going to be hard to say goodbye to some of these yarns. But some of them I dyed years ago, and really they deserve to turn into something beautiful. So ultimately, I think that it's a good thing. So I find chain plying to be pretty easy. Sometimes if I'm chatting, then I get distracted, then I struggle a bit. But once I get the rhythm going, it's pretty soothing and it goes really fast. And I think my favorite part of it is that you don't end up with like a rogue mini skein at the end, because you end up, all the yarn goes into one skein. Yeah, so before I got pregnant with my first, that was when I had just gotten the wheel, and I made a plan that year I was all projects, all my projects, unless it was a specific gift for someone, had to be out of stash yarn or yarn that I spun myself to convince myself to do a lot of spinning. And this was a great goal, and I made a lot of shawls to destash yarn, but a huge shawlette or fingering weight shawl only takes like less than 100 grams of yarn, and it wasn't eating up the stash fast enough. And then of course I got pregnant, and so I wanted to then make all the baby things. So that plan kind of went away. Yeah, and I think, I have one of those IKEA 4x4 cube shelves, which I think is now the Kallax, but it was something else before. And that is almost entirely full of yarn. And the Kickstarter destash I'm doing isn't going to help because that wasn't in there anyway. That was in extra boxes in the closet. So, yeah. So the only reason why I do a short draw is because I don't know how to do a long draw, and long draws terrify me. So when I'm doing a thicker yarn, I do kind of pull and then like pull my hand back, or I draft and then pinch and then just pull. Like I would keep my other finger closer up, but I think that the trial and error is how I ended up with this. And I think that the key for me here is keeping my left hand far enough back so that way I can easily pull just a few fibers out at a time. But it would be interesting to go to a spinning guild meeting someday and for people to, so I can learn some like real techniques. Not that this isn't real, but you know, when you try to, sometimes when you try to show a knitter how to do something and you realize that you do the stitches just different enough that you have to stop and show each other how you do it. So. Huh. I'm having to, I think I need glasses. I technically have glasses, but the prescription is really old. So, just tuning in. So this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It's the wool of the Andes fiber from Knit Picks. And I dyed it with Wilton's black food coloring in a video that is not yet published. I think that this video will be coming out in the beginning of November. I believe this will be episode 6 of Dyepot Weekly. So. Yeah, and I'm just kind of whimsically going along the fiber. I wanted to spin some before. The video's edited except for the very end where I say like something like, hey, and if I finish spinning the yarn, you'll see a picture of it here. So I just need to spin some so I can take some pictures of it so I can finish exporting that video. But I am so excited to start. I've saved so many really fun experiments for some of these first sponsored videos of Dyepot Weekly. Like, I got some Wilton spray food coloring in both black and violet. And so I'm really excited to spray some yarn with food coloring. So we'll see how that goes. Do I have a favorite fiber to spin? I really like to spin BFL. I enjoy this fiber as well. It's really, this Knit Picks fiber is really easy for me to get because I make Knit Picks orders a lot. And sometimes I get nervous buying unspun fiber online. There's some BFL silk blends that were just amazing that I got from Into the World. I highly recommend their roving. It is just a dream to spin. And unfortunately, I still have some fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I still have some unspun fiber in my stash just because I haven't had as much wheel time lately. But it's fun to come on and hang out with you guys as I do a little spinning before I go and pick up the kids from school. Normally, I would have to leave now, but Lucas starts a dance program at his school today. And so I put Ryder in extended day because I didn't want to pick up Ryder and then hang out at school for an hour while Lucas had his activity, because that kind of seemed to silly. Defeat the purpose of finding an activity that was located at school. So probably the easiest place to see some of the projects that I've made out of my hand-dyed yarns would be on Ravelry or on my blog, which is ChemKnits.com. I haven't been able to knit up as many of the yarns as I like because I tend to dye the yarn at a much faster rate than I knit it. But I forget if I've tagged... if you search my Ravelry projects, and I'm on there as ChemKnits blog, you can see some of the hand-dyed and hand-spun things that I've made. But I'm hoping that all the Kickstarter backers will send me pictures of what they make with the yarn that I send them, and then I can make like a little video to show you what a lot of people make out of the yarns that I dyed. Yeah, I love, you know, I've done some designs, a few actually designs that have featured some of my hand dyed yarns. The Minecraft creeper hat that I did, I over dyed some green yarn so that way I could get something that looked pixelated for that colorwork hat. And then I did a hand spun square hat for a rider out of some rainbow yarn I spun. And then, well, all the first yarns that I spun are in this blanket right here, because I started off dyeing 20% wool, 80% acrylic yarn that I had. And there's also some similar blends. The darker colors are commercial yarns, but a lot of the pastels in the blanket are yarns that I dyed with Kool-Aid and food coloring. And so my first experiments are with dyeing are always right here. And so that's kind of fun. And those projects are all on ChemKnits.com as well. But many, many years ago at this point. I haven't played with Wilton's copper yet. That is on the list, along with some of the greens. I was actually surprised when I did the dip dyeing with Wilton's brown, how copper that color turned out. So I'm curious to see what actual copper looks like with dyeing. Ooh. Yeah, I haven't done a lot with recycled yarns, but I'm assuming that you unraveled a sweater or something to dye, because I think that that's really, really cool. And honestly, probably the cheapest way to get cashmere yarn. But, oh, I'm getting a little sloppier. I found out this year that I can get jumbo bobbins and a jumbo flyer for this wheel. And so I think that is probably what someone is going to be buying me for my birthday. And by someone, I don't really mean me. But the someone is not watching this right now because I think he's in a meeting. Oh. But yeah, I'm happy to take some, just like I take dyeing requests, I'm happy to try to take some spinning requests, even though I am very much a novice spinner, but I am willing to try things out. Or I can just do my thing to give you guys some nice slow TV. I think that there's a sweater channel where you can watch them like dye, spin fiber, and then knit up a sweater. 2-ply lace weight. Ooh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've ever dyed cashmere before. But I don't think that there should be any problem dyeing it. I mean, people dye human hair with food coloring. I know cashmere is a little more hair-like or something. But yeah, I do think I tried dyeing some unknown breed dog fur in the video where I was looking at all the single breed yarns. I don't really remember. Not that I would ever try to dye my dog a color. As hilarious as the idea of a green fluorescent puppy is as a Halloween costume, I don't think, yeah. We like it as an idea, and maybe I will do it in Photoshop. But I well, I'm not gonna dye my fluff ball. Oof. Yeah, but I guess if you know what you're looking for, you can find, like if you're looking for yarns or sweaters to recycle the yarn, then you might be able to find one that's been done in the round without seams. I'd love to see watch some of those big knitting machines in action. Be pretty cool. Oh man. I'm really excited with this blue and burgundy. But man, and you know, this is spinning up totally fine. But like it took a lot of time for all the blue to absorb. I think I was dyeing this fiber in a really low level of water. And you can see a teaser on my Instagram account and on the ChemKnits Facebook page. I did some time lapse of the dyeing. And I mean, it looks really cool. It just took a really long time to get all the blues. And I could have stopped at any point, but I like blue, and so I really wanted to get all these deep blues in the fiber. Huh. Kind of not being horribly consistent, but I'm liking these really fast whirls. And I haven't snapped my brake band today yet. Yeah, so let me know what kinds of things you'd like to see me do live. I plan to do more. I know people really liked the Wilton's dip dyeing a-thon that I did. And so I have plans to do another one of those coming up. And then I always love all the suggestions for dyeing videos, obviously. And so, got some fun things coming up. Oh gosh, the one coming out on Friday. Oh, I am so excited for you to see that one. There are sneak peeks all over the Instagram page, so. But I know it's different to actually like watch the dyeing happen, so. All right. Yeah, I think that I'll be able to do a few more minutes and then I'm going to have to, oh, I got distracted. Okay, where is the end? Here we go. This is the problem with spinning a thinner yarn. I'd gone so long without a break that I was like, ooh, I'm getting way more better. Oh gosh, that's horrible English. Oh, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, and yeah, my phone battery is running low. So when I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to start getting ready to get the kids and stuff and eat some lunch, my phone might also decide that the end is near as it powers down. Sometimes I'm able to like rig up an external battery onto my tripod. And that's pretty hard. How about a video dyeing a knitted garment? Oh, that could be fun. Maybe not a sweater. Sweaters take a while to knit. But yeah, I forget who, someone once showed me they did some fingerless gloves in Wilton Violet, and that was really pretty. Speckles are pretty. check back later tonight and I think you might see some speckles. A small sweater. Yeah, I did make a tiny newborn sweater for my youngest that, well, he ended up coming early, and so I finished the sweater right in time. Actually, my oldest was early too, and I started a test knit for a baby sweater. I was like, oh yeah, this will take me like a day or something. And then I like went into labor that night, and I was like, oh, my test knit might be delayed a little bit. It was a good distraction early on, but then I stopped being able to knit. Yeah, I did this on Facebook last night, but I got my first commercial sock length from Knit Picks, and I am so excited. They are wider and shorter than I expected, but I think that it'll be a lot of fun to dye. And those of you who have selected the sock length special reward, I am so excited to play with that. And you know, whether, oops, I don't know if your yarns will be dyed live or in a bonus pre-recorded video. I think it depends on the technique that, or the pattern that you want, how you want it dyed. But all right, actually, I better stop before my phone dies. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in for this little bit of spinning. I'll probably work on this not live, but at some point, you know, I'll share on Instagram or something the finished yarn. Oh, I wonder, actually, I can, since I'm ending, let me bring you in so you can see closer. Okay, where I am not doing well holding. Okay, there we go. It is hard for me to move this for whatever reason, so you guys can see it better. Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't yet backed the Dyepot Weekly Kickstarter campaign, please check it out. The link is in the description, and I'll drop it in the chat as soon as I sign off. There's still just under 5 hours left of the campaign, and there's still some awesome rewards. Thank you, and you guys keep thanking me, but seriously, thank you for all of your support. I wouldn't be spinning live if you guys didn't keep asking me to do it again, and I learn a lot from you as well, so thank you, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye!